Joong Gun, we'll run through the form real quick one time, and I'll kind of expand on some highlights that I look for as I'm watching people do this at testing or tournaments. So from the beginning 3 moves are all about showing hips, right? Hips here for that. I'm pulling this hand as far across my body as I can. I want to see your hips try to throw that move. The hips will start to move, and that brings your shoulder, and that throws your arm into it. The second move here with the front kick, what I'm looking for, not so much hips on this, but shaping the foot. Okay, that's the biggest thing at this level as they're first learning this form. Shaping the foot, not pointed and not the whole foot flat up and down, but the foot pointed with the toes pulled back. That way the ball of the foot is the furthest thing out there. So here we go from the beginning, the hips pulling that. And remember, that's a ridge hand, right? Not a knife hand, and the thumb's not on the side. Thumb's pulled in because I'm hitting with the side of the hand here as my block. Front kick, if you're a brown belt or higher and you're coming back to review this form as for your higher rank testing, then I definitely would like to see some muscle control for that front kick. I don't want to just snap it out there fast. I'd like to be able to see you freeze it out there for a second while you do that. And the next move here is a palm heel that's going not up, but into the belly. So the hips will stay back here for that, but they'll throw that move forward fast. I just want to make sure we're seeing it go in and not up. So that's the first 3 moves. 1, 2, 3. Same 3 moves are repeated on the other side. Hips, throw that. It's a ridge hand. Kick with the foot shape. Hips, throw this. Right? Here's a cat stance. This might be the first time we've seen a cat stance in form for you. So cat stance is like a back stance in that your feet look like an L, but it's not, I'm going to do it sideways I guess, it's not wide. It's like if your feet were exactly touching in an L and you just lifted one of them up, the heel off the ground, that'd be your cat stance. So that's what you're in when you do that palm heel strike. You're in a cat stance. This foot will turn, this base leg here will turn to make that L, but this one here, the heel's up off the ground. Same thing as I go the other side. This heel turns to make that L. This one doesn't really move forward, it just kind of steps and places down. Then here, these next 2 moves, as I do them, are all about hips. Hips pulling this block across, hips pushing that elbow up. So that's what I want to see. I want to see hips getting used to this. 1, and then ringing back as you're getting ready for that elbow strike. Shift that foot over, but your hips are going to help throw this forward. I twist my hips as I step for that next one, pull my hips past the line where they're going to finish, so that way I've got some crank going on here. I'm going to crank those hips up and pull that block across my body here for that back stance. Push that elbow as I shift into the front stance. The next 2 moves, as I step forward, is a twin high punch. I'm looking for this to come more like beltish, like I make a circle with my arms as I do that. They swing by my belt, but then they come straight out here. I'm not looking for sideways like this. I'm not trying to hit somebody on 2 cheeks and make them spit their food out. I'm trying to aim these hands to go straight into their eyeballs. Right? So they'll go in like that. The next step is twin uppercut. Again, not coming up. I just hit them in their eyeballs, so if anything, they're leaning backwards. They're not bent over, so I'm not coming up, I'm going in with those, right? So after that, elbow smash here, stepping forward. It's a little circle with my hands, but not coming from the side. The circle draws my hands back, so I push them forward. This circle here draws my hands back into my belt, so I push them forward, right? That's what I'm looking for there. That'll be important too. It's harder to get your hips into those kind of moves as far as turning and cranking. So what I'm looking for out of this belt level is relax, explode, and hands and feet to land at the same time. I don't want you to be tense going, because you'll lose a lot. You lose a lot of power as you're doing that. So the relaxation has to happen from here as I reach. That's my body just relaxing. That's me breathing in. The explode is on the move itself. It's when I breathe out, and that all happens when this foot lands. Not 1, 2, and not foot then hands, both same time. Time everything together. Same thing again as I step forward one more time. Relax, and that's my chance to breathe in. Breathe out, twin uppercut. As I step and turn, that X is pretty simple. That comes from my belt and shove straight up. Again, hand foot timing. I'll cross. My hips will throw this back fist over here into the back stance. All right, that's what I want to see, hip movement. From here, it's pretending like someone grabs your wrist and you're doing that white belt wrist release that we've done here as a white belt self-defense drill. So I'm going to do that circular release, but as I do that, at the same time, I'm going to shift this foot into a front stance to prepare me for a better position for my counterattack for that punch. So I try to back fist them, and they grab me, release and punch, all in one motion. Step, boom, same thing, hip, pulling that back fist across, they grab that wrist, I'm releasing as I shift into that front stance, release and punch. I don't want to do it slow motion. 1, 2. Maybe as we first start learning this form, as they're working on those moves, I'll break it down into slow bits like that. But by testing time, I want that to be smooth because I don't want to give the bad guy who I try to get off me, I don't want to give him a chance to recover after I release. So if I release, I want that to be a surprise to him, and then here's what's waiting for him at the other end of it, right? There. The feet together as I'm doing the reach here for this next block. Hips, hips, okay? They'll pull that block across. As if I'm facing you, it'll look this way so you came from this punch here. I'm getting my hips beyond, well beyond where they're going to be. When I land this block, I'm going to be in a front stance, so everything's going to be squared to the front where I'm at. So they'll stay back here, and my hips will lead this move. They'll start moving first. That'll pull my shoulder, which will pull the rest of my arms and my upper body around. So as I step forward here, that block swings around. This hand's here to support it, give it extra strength so it doesn't come back. Right? That's what that is. So as I'm coming from the release punch here, hips, then as I point and shift, this next move here is fixed stance. We've done fixed stance in Wanyo. And we had 1, 2, it's just 1 foot length longer of a back stance. Back stance is about 3 foot lengths long, nice and kind of short, but a fixed stance is the same thing. It's just when you get to be that long, you're not going to be able to control keeping your weight over that back leg more. And that's what a back stance is named that way for, because I want about 70% of my weight on that back foot. As I go into a fixed stance with making it even longer, it makes it harder for me to keep most of that weight on that back leg. So now it becomes more 50-50, right? My weight split in the middle. So here, hips, and then my hips will help pull into that too, because I want to push this punch from this hip, fire it forward. The side kick, as I'm doing this next move, I'll show you here. If I'm in this fixed stance punch, the side kick that I do for the next one, the most important thing that I'm watching as I'm watching people do this in test or tournament is to make sure they're actually doing a side kick, not a round kick. Okay? So when I think about that, I think about what the knee needs to do. On a side kick, the difference between those two kicks is how the knee moves and travels. So if I'm coming from this fixed stance punch, I'm going that way. I'm just kind of showing you guys this way. What I'll do is I'll drag my knee, my back leg right inside my front leg here as I'm bringing that knee up to get ready for the side kick. Right? That's how I do it. Get my knee up high, kick out and back. I want that kick moving in a straight line. If you're watching your student practice at home, you can help me a lot with that. By this time in their training, you've seen a lot of side kicks. You should know enough about side kick to be able to tell. What happens to a lot of people is they'll just bring that knee and they'll put it right here in front of them, and they'll move their foot this way. That is not a side kick. That becomes a round kick. The kick needs to move in a straight line. So I'm watching what their knee does from here. If it skims right in the middle, skims right on the inside of this leg, to come right up and kick straight out. Then after that kick, the knee still comes back again, right? That's a good side kick. So that's what I'm watching as I'm here. If they're throwing a good side kick, and then if they've got the balance to hold their weight up, and again, the hips, throw that block into that front stance. Hips, throw that punch into that fixed stance. Another side kick, same drill, bring it on the inside of that front knee. Good strong side kick. Hips will throw this block when you land. I can see anybody at this level do a side kick and go do that and make a pretty decent front stance, pretty decent block. But if I'm scoring them at tournament and I'm putting one higher than the other, what I'm going to look for is one who nailed that side kick and used their hips to land that block. So that's what I'm thinking. From that block there, they'll shift that front foot and they do this pressing block. So I'll show you from your direction here. The inside hand comes up to the cheek. That's the preparation for the pressing block. Through this block here, inside hand goes up, outside hand drops down. As I shift into a front stance, they'll pass right by each other. Notice that the hands will start kind of palms facing one way, they'll finish palms facing another way, right? Up and down is what I want them looking like. Not to me and back behind me. I don't want both palms pointed behind me. I want them up and down. That's where I'm at here. Shift, press. Hips, as I step forward, will help me with this block. And again, the shift and the press. So that inside hand comes up to the cheek, outside hand drops down. I'll shift and press. Slow motion here, I'm looking for balance, control, that these hands finish at the same time that foot finishes. Last two moves are pole blocks. These are weird moves, okay? We'll practice it enough in class to see where their hands have to start. One hand palm pointed down, one hand palm pointed up. On these blocks, I'm purposely blocking with the web between my thumb and my first finger. So as I do my reach, I want those thumbs out. Okay, on all the other moves we've done up till now, we've had the thumbs either here or here or whatever. Here I purposely want them out because as I step into that block, and I'm stepping in, I'm pretending like I'm blocking a pole attack coming straight on. So I want to line up this web and this web. Not necessarily right over each other. The bottom one can be out a little bit further, but I want them to be in a straight line. That way, if this pole is coming down at an angle, I'd be able to not worry about taking the brunt of that whole attack with just one hand. I'd be able to split it between both of them, right? My hands are open so that I can catch that if I needed to try to grab it, pull it away from them, use his momentum against him. So that's where I'm at here at the end as I do my reach. And again, it's my hips that are going to help me throw some momentum toward that pole. One, hips, think about how your hands are. Two, and this one's weird, the top hand as it goes out, it's really weird. You start reaching with your thumb, your palm up, you finish with your palm up, but you do a full circle spin on it as you do it, right? That's probably the weirdest hand, the weirdest thing for them to get used to. So I'm going to help them out with all these things in class, but if they're practicing at home, I really would like for them to get used to and comfortable with their hips and these different stances that we got now. We got the cat stance, we got the fixed stance. Just getting them through this form, working on those specific things would be very helpful. So that is Joong Gun highlights.